Hey guys, and today we are playing some Hot Wheels Unleashed. Today's topic is going to be about the internet. Now, if, like me, you've basically been born in the 90s or before, then you've probably lived in an era where, well, you didn't have internet at some point. I mean, some people had internet early on, some people didn't. I was one of the people that got internet in 2007. That was when I got it, but a lot of people got it beforehand. I wasn't lucky enough to have that. My first exposure to the internet was actually at school, because I had to use it for certain things at school, back when they taught us like bad habits, like using Google Images for everything. Yeah, that's a great habit to teach kids. You know, how to break copyright laws. But, yeah, like, back then, like, you had the Newgrounds, you had all of the IGN was booming at that time, and yeah, it was a different time, but that was the early days of the internet. So basically, what we have right now is like we're living in 2020, well, the 2020s, and we have an internet that is drastically different to what it was in the 2000s. But that's besides the point. I want to talk about the internet in general because as someone who's played video games without the internet for quite a few years, longer than most, I can safely say that, well, longer than most in like a first world country, I can safely say that gaming is different now. And I think a lot of things are different because of the internet, but gaming especially. Gaming has definitely been affected by the internet in so many ways. God, that was a horrible corner. But, like, the problem that I have with the internet is like it's basically how it's kind of like changed how we perceive video games. Like it really has. Like you look at the internet back in the day and what it used to be. Like it used to be a paragon of freedom. Like that's what it was. It was like freedom and liberty. Do whatever the fuck you want and there's no repercussions. Like that's basically what the internet used to be and people loved it. People were all about it. Like on top of that, you also got to communicate with people like from all around the world. It was a new concept, and at the time, it was really cool. Like it was new and stuff, and yeah, eventually, like it became the norm, and like we all learned to live with it. But the thing is, though, is that before the internet, everything was so different. Like particularly with gaming, because back when I played video games back in the day, like it was a very isolating experience. Was gaming. Unless you had friends and played a lot of multiplayer split screen, it was very isolated. And when you did play split screen, it was very different. We'll get to that later. But we're going to talk about the single player experience without the internet. And I will tell you right now, the single player experience without the internet was very different. It was a completely different beast because with single player, I'm not going to get the win. Oh, god damn it. With single player, you basically have to deal with the fact that most games require you to have a strategy guide, and unfortunately, with that in mind, you're basically unable to progress unless you know what the fuck to do. Now, if you know me, you know that I am the type of guy who sucks when it comes to figuring out what to do in games and solving puzzles and figuring out where to go in games. So, for me, not having a guide was very difficult, and it used to take me years to beat games. And there were a lot of games I never beat until the internet because I didn't know how to beat them. I didn't have a guide. There were some games where, because I didn't have internet, I actually had to go to a friend's house and like print off entire walkthroughs from game FAQs just simply so that I could actually finish games. Those games mainly being like Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy V. I had to literally print off a guide at a friend's house just so that I could finish the games because otherwise I would never be able to beat them. So, yeah, like that's kind of what it was like back then. Like, I mean, at least I had like someone who had internet who I could print the guides off from, but I didn't have internet myself until 2007, and this was before 2007. So, yeah, I had to kind of like I had to find an alternative way of getting guides because I couldn't afford strategy guides. I mean, I was a kid. You know, it was bad enough getting games, let alone a freaking strategy guide back as a kid, you know, like, it's even more money, you know? So it's like, yeah, I had to find a way to get access to these guides for as little money as possible, and yeah, that was the way to do it. But nowadays, I can just look up game FAQs and get a guide immediately. Heck, I can just even use YouTube now. I don't even need to use game FAQs. I can just use YouTube. Like, because you've got YouTube videos of guides which tell you exactly what to do and show you what to do, because they're not just telling you what to do like some guides do. Yep, some of those guides can be a bit of a pain because they'll tell you go left, except you're supposed to go right, but they get the left and right confused and it fucks you over and you're like, god damn it, guy, you know? Whereas YouTube videos, you can pretty much tell where you're supposed to go and all of that, so it's like, yeah, now it's a lot easier to figure out where you're supposed to go, but at the same time, it can kind of feel like cheating. Well, to some people, but to people like me, it's just like, I just want to enjoy video games, guys. I don't fucking care, just let me fucking enjoy my game. Let me cut out all of the fucking puzzle solving bullshit, because it's not fun, you know? What is fun is me getting, like, actually getting through the game and actually, like, playing through the combat, or in this case, like, racing. The action. I'm in it for the action. I don't care about all the rest of it, you know? Give me action. Don't give me moments where I have to ponder what the fuck to do, because then I will be pissed, you know? And I even hate it today because it's unnecessary. What do, like, I mean, now that we have guides, what's the point in even doing it? And even then, it'll just lead me to look up a guide, and I will tell you right now, the experience of having to look up a guide is not fun. I don't want to have to read a guide just to play a game and constantly have the guide on hand just to have a good chance of beating it, you know? It's not fun, and that's why I don't like games like Zelda and Metroid, because that's basically what you need to play those games, because there's so much cryptic bullshit, you know? And that's one of the advantages of having the internet. And when I got the internet, it's definitely the one thing I was hyped the most about when I finally got the internet. I mean, I don't know if people nowadays realize what the feeling of finally getting internet access is like, because nowadays, kids that grow up today, they pretty much get internet like almost immediately the day they were born. They just knew about the internet immediately, you know, and they're just brought up with the internet one way or another because it's basically in their face 24/7, you know. And it's like, yeah, like, different time now. And it was a different time in my time, so, yeah, like, back in my day, you had to be rich to have internet access. And some people had it, some people didn't. And it was just like, yeah, my parents weren't rich at the time, so I didn't have internet. I didn't have a PC. I just had a game console, and, like, that was it. I didn't have much of a choice. But nowadays, I have a PC, and I mostly play my games on PC, which is kind of ironic. But the sort of thing is that, like, the internet, for all the good that it's done, it's definitely changed a lot of things, and it was definitely a culture shock, because when I first played, like, online multiplayer, my god, like, because here's the thing, guys, like, probably my first exposure to online multiplayer was probably an MMORPG, I'm guessing. Probably RuneScape, I guess. But, like, the thing is that before, back in the day, you used to... Oh, you got this minigame here. Yeah. You used to play games online. Like, you used to play games split screen back in the day, you know? Like, I used to play split screen with my friends a lot, you know? And, like, playing split screen multiplayer was like the highlight of, like, it was the highlight of meeting friends, you know, and seeing friends. It was like playing those split screen multiplayer games with them was so much fun, and it was a good laugh, you know. We'd just basically play a game, you know, someone would lose, but it was just like, hey, you know, big deal, let's move on to the next game, let's go again, you know, and let's just keep playing together because it's fun. It's fun to play with friends, it really is. But the internet changed that, because now it exposed me to a whole new culture of tryhards, which was a culture shock. I didn't even know tryhards existed. I didn't know people gave that much of a fuck about being good at video games, but they do. And when I found that out, it was kind of miserable at the start when I played multiplayer, but eventually I got used to all the bullshit, and I adapted, and I recognized its toxic culture, and, well, I just blended in with it. I think we all did. And yeah, like, online gaming is just a toxic landscape in general. Like, especially Warcraft 3, like, that's as toxic as you're gonna get. But, like, the thing is that multiplayer gaming didn't used to be toxic, at least in my experience. Like, I don't know why all these people, like, started getting, like, so fucking serious about these games and so toxic about playing multiplayer. I just don't get it. Like, was it the internet anonymity? I don't know, but online was what caused it. And people just seem to have these huge egos, and I'm like, it's a video game. You're supposed to play it and have fun. What happened to that? You know? What happened to that? People taking it like it's some kind of job? And I'm just like, what the fuck? And, you know, then eventually we start getting, like, esports being super popular, and it's just like, now everybody wants to, like, be good at video games so they can get paid to play video games professionally, and you're just like, really? Like, so now they're going to take it even more seriously because of esports and ruin everything for everybody else, and it's just like, what the fuck? So that's the first sin that online's committed to gaming, but it's far from the only sin that online has committed to gaming, because the internet has caused so much bullshit. Where do I begin? I mean, obviously, like from a egotistical standpoint, like if you were like the best player in your local community and then you play online, you are about to get humbled. Oh, you are, because now you're going to face Koreans who are going to dominate you. You know, at StarCraft, and it's like, I used to be the best player at StarCraft ever, and then suddenly, you know, these Koreans appeared and they just bummed me. You know. I mean, I'm not speaking from experience, I'm terrible at StarCraft, like, but, you know, like, it's just an example that someone might have, you know what I mean, of, like, being a StarCraft player, and, yeah, and it's like, that culture shock of, like, now you're no longer the top person on the block is definitely something that the internet has caused, and I think it's something that's true in general with life, and it's one of the reasons why a lot of people on social media are so depressed nowadays, and there's so many mental health problems. Mainly because they're comparing themselves to people on the other side of the planet, and the world is their competitor. Like, everyone's competing with the rest of the world, and that's a huge burden to challenge the entire world on something. And when things don't go your way, yeah, you feel a bit down, and you feel inadequate. You feel like you're not good enough, you know? And there's a lot of that in the internet. There's a lot of people, like hustle culture, for example, that say, you're not working hard enough, work harder, hustle harder. And it's just like, stuff like that, you know, is also not helping people, because it's, even though they are working hard probably in life, they're getting these YouTube content creators that are constantly telling them that they're not working hard enough, and that they need to work harder and hustle. And it's just like, this is not doing people's mental health any good, you know? But, so it's not just gaming, it's life in general. But it's definitely affected gaming in a similar way, because gaming is now, like, video games are taken so seriously now, and the thing is that not only is it taken more seriously, but at the same time you have elitism that can literally, in some cases, prevent people from actually enjoying video games. And you get games where you just get completely booted from the game, just simply because you're not good at it. Like Dota, for example, and Left 4 Dead, where the community is just apparent. I've never played Left 4 Dead, but I've heard a lot of people complain about the communities of Left 4 Dead, and that was enough of a turn-off for me, because I don't want to have to deal with that, and that's why I never played Left 4 Dead. But I heard from a lot of people that the community is super elitist, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that. So, when I was playing, like, Warcraft 3 and eventually Dota, obviously, you know, I had to deal with all that bullshit because I was new to the game and I wanted to get into it, and obviously, you know, I'm gonna be shit at the game. But it's like, you weren't allowed to be shit, and if you were shit, you get booted from the game. It's just like, how's that fun? How is anyone supposed to learn if they're not even given a chance? But then you realise, oh, you're just letting the team down. You know, what? Just simply because we don't dedicate hours of our time to one game, we're not allowed to play it. Like, we don't dedicate our whole lives to one fucking video game, so now we're not allowed to play it, and we're demonized for it. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, there was no such thing as that back in the day. Like, back in the day, if you were playing a video game and with friends, you never had to deal with that bullshit. You just had fun. You just had a laugh. You know, that's what multiplayer is supposed to be about, and that was the misconception I had when I first played online multiplayer. I was like, oh yeah, I get to play online and have a laugh with, like, people all around the world. No, these people all around the world are business. They mean business, and they take it super seriously. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, why? Like, why is this suddenly the most important thing on planet Earth? Just being good at fucking Dota. Like, seriously, it's not going to fucking pay your bills. It's not going to get you a fucking wife. It's not gonna fucking help you or improve your life in any way. But then again, you've got fucking esports, which is like encouraging people to do this, and it's like the chances of you getting into esports are so freaking low. Why even bother? Like, and honestly, esports is just a plague because of this. And this is why I've always hated esports, because it's encouraged this mindset. And I fucking hate esports for existing for that reason. It's stupid, you know? Why do we have to get so competitive over these games? It's not even fun to watch. It's not like fucking watching wrestling or anything like that, which is kind of like taking the piss out of people's egos. Instead, it's literally just watching egotistical people, you know, be grumpy all the time and be hyper-focused all the time, and sometimes even get pissed off and, like, have temper tantrums, you know? Like fucking low-tier god. You know, it's just like, why are we doing this? Why are people fucking taking this so seriously? It's just a fucking video game. But, yeah, that's one thing that the internet's done that's a problem. But it's far from the only thing that they've done that is a problem. Because, obviously, we have scummy publishers, don't we? Oh, yes! Now, back in the day, before the internet, the only thing that could sell games was the fucking cover of the game when you walked into Game or Game Station, as they used to be, because there used to be a store called Game Station in the UK. I know you've got GameStop in the US and like eBay Games in Canada or whatever, but we have Game and Game Station. That's what we had in the UK. Before CEX was even a thing, CEX didn't exist at that point, at least to my knowledge. Like, it was Game and Game Station, and that was it. I think there were some other game stores, but those were the major two. And Game Station basically just got replaced by CEX, and yeah, Game's kind of on its last legs right now. But yeah, like, you just go into Game Station or Game, and you just found a game on the shelf, looked at the cover, and that was what ultimately decided what you were going to get, you know? So they had to make the cover look as good as possible, and they had to make the game look as good as possible, so you buy the next one. Nowadays, they don't. Nowadays, all they need to do is hype the fuck out of it on social media and get YouTubers to fucking shill for it. And that'll sell the game, because people listen to YouTube content creators instead of judging a game based on the cover. And that's how marketing has changed. And that's why influencers are a thing, and why influencers are treated like fucking royalty nowadays. And despite this fact, so many fucking influencers act super entitled like brats. And it's just like, what the fuck? You're fucking influencers, you get everything handed to you, and it's still not enough? Like, try working a fucking 9-to-5 job. Then you'll probably feel a little bit more thankful for being a fucking influencer. I'm not saying that all influencers are like this. Some influencers are actually humble and actually recognize that they are in a position that is like very lucky, that they're in a very fortunate position to be doing what they're doing. But some of them are genuinely assholes who are entitled whiny bitches. I'm not going to name names, but I'm just going to say that some of them are, and they just whine and moan, and it annoys me. Every single time that they do it, it really pisses me off. It's like, you know, especially as a content creator myself, because I know what goes into it. I know what goes into content creation, and I know just how hard it is, but I also know just how doable it is. And I think, you know, you guys need to stop whining. You're making money out of this. You're getting free game codes handed to you. Stop moaning. Like, stop whining, stop whinging, and stop being a fucking bitch. You know, because I'm not getting a single penny out of this. And I'm doing the same fucking thing you guys are doing, so shut the fuck up and stop being babies. But that's another point for another time. You know, I've already kind of covered it in a way. But the thing is that with the internet being the way it is, like, video games should not be, like, taken super seriously. And at the same time, like, video games should not be made by all of these fucking... Like, they shouldn't be made just to sell. Like, they should be made to be good, to sell the next one, not just influencers, like, pushing it and hyping it up because it exists, you know? And that's the thing. Now, you can't trust anyone, what anyone says. Reviews are basically fucked, because back in the day, like, you used to go to magazines and read reviews and stuff, which, granted, in retrospect, they were kind of corrupt anyways, but usually word of mouth was kind of trustworthy. It isn't now, because obviously the whole internet's kind of involved, and the whole internet can tell you, oh yeah, like, this game is good or bad, and it's just like, there's so many different fucking people on the internet with different tastes, and it's just like, yeah. And then it gets like a clusterfuck with two people with completely different opinions, and like, which opinion do I agree with, you know? And it's just like, yeah, and even then, it's just like, you have to judge it for yourself, and, you know, there's no incentive to actually play a video game that is, like, there's no incentive to actually, like, you know, review a game honestly anymore. Now it's like pander to the publisher or get fucked, you know? That's basically what it is now. So, yeah, that's kind of the problem with game reviews, but it's kind of got, as I say, they weren't that brilliant to begin with, because, you know, obviously, you know, it was like all these big corporations, but we didn't know at the time because there was nothing to compare it to. But with the rise of the internet, I suppose we figured out that all of these corporate reviewers are bullshit, but then eventually all of the YouTube reviewers copied them and ended up being bullshit as well, because there was incentives there, you know? Financial incentives to be fucking shit, to make garbage, to deceive people, and the hype train just turned into a joke. And it's just like, all of this is because of the internet. Instead of thinking for ourselves, now everybody fucking listens to their internet influencer gurus. And all of these influencers are losers. Losers who got lucky in life and made it big on YouTube and are making money by lying to you. And it's just like, by sacrificing their integrity, they're making money off of that. And, I mean, sometimes, I'm not saying that all of them are bad people. I'm just saying that these influencers are making money. Like, the whole point is that they hype the game up. That's the whole intention. And they typically will hype things up more than anything, because one, they want more review codes, and two, an audience is easier to manipulate when you're constantly in a good mood and you're constantly like hyping stuff, because nobody wants to go and watch someone who is constantly bitching and moaning all the time about video games like me, which is why I don't have any subscribers. Whereas someone who's super positive all the time and happy, everybody's there, because people want that positive energy, you know? And it's just like, they want to avoid the negativity. They want to blue pill themselves and just say, oh, nothing's going wrong, everything's fine, even though it's not, you know? They want to ignore the difficult conversations, the difficult discussions, and only focus on like, hey, new game, cool, that's great, you know, let's play the new game, you know? It's just like, yeah. And they watch those types of creators just simply so that they can just keep up with what's new, and then they can just have a mindless hype fest about how amazing it is, even though they've never played it. And it's just like, really? Just simply because a YouTuber's told them that it's amazing. And that's another part of the problem with the internet, but we've only just begun, boys, because we have to talk about publishers again. This time it's the publishers themselves and how they've used the internet to essentially be more complacent, and now you don't have games that are finished that are basically bug fests and they need fixing, and there's like, they need to be patched and stuff, and some games don't even get patched and they're full of bugs even like long after launch. Some of them do, but it's like, you buy a game at launch, chances are there's going to be bugs everywhere. It's bugtacular, you know? And it's not fun, like, having to deal with certain bugs, particularly if they're safe bugs or like anything like that, which you see plenty of nowadays. And it's just like, really? Like, can't we get a game that can work and function and not have like serious issues day one, you know? But that's not allowed anymore, because obviously, like, they have to get the game out and there's a deadline, and there's so much more pressure on developers to like make more graphically intensive games instead of actually like experimenting with like cool mechanics. Even though the graphic increase is kind of minuscule compared to what it was back in the day when you went from 2D sprites to 3D models with the like Super Nintendo to the Nintendo 64, and then eventually those 3D models went from jagged polygons to actually smooth, like, realistic looking 3D models like you had on the PS2 and the GameCube, you know? Now it's just like, we're just going to improve the fucking definition so that people with a fucking fancy fucking monitor, you know, with a massive monitor, can actually not complain about the fucking visuals looking fucking like ugly and all that. And it's just like, you know, maybe instead what you should be doing is making good games. But they don't think about it that way. I mean, obviously there's more to it than that. They're following the formulas and all that. We all know the publisher bullshit, you know. Every game follows the same bullshit formula. Must have an open world. Must be 6 million hours long. Must have, like, tons of side quests, you know. The usual bullshit. But that's another point for another time. The thing is that game publishers have utilized the internet to create new methods of monetizing their games in the form of downloadable content. Remember the horse armor people? Yeah, remember that? Yeah, that was the sign of things to come, wasn't it? Remember Xbox Live Gold, which charged you for the right to play online. Yeah, the online paywalls, remember those that I've talked about countless times? Yeah, that happened because of the internet. I mean, granted, it was to access the internet, but it's the principle of it, isn't it? It's just like, oh yeah, now people are playing online, we're going to charge them more for it. And we're going to also make certain features online only, so that if you want to access those features, you have to pay, you know? For example, like, you know, like you could like, I'll give you an example. Like you could let's say you wanted to, like, you played WWE, like 2K25, I guess nowadays, on PS5, and you wanted to go into community creations to download someone's community creation or like upload your own, even though you only care about playing single player. You can't do that because you don't have access to online. So yeah, you can't actually use that feature, and it's like you have to pay for the right to use that feature. And there's some games where certain features are online only and require like an online paywall to actually access, even though you're actually not going online to use them. It's ridiculous. And like, they do exist, people, believe me. But it's like, the thing is that at the end of the day, like, you know, they shouldn't be paywalling online in the first place. They really shouldn't be. Like, people say, well, they have to pay for the servers and all that. That's the excuse. But the thing is, no, they don't. Because they don't run the servers. The people that run the servers are the game publishers, who aren't the people who own the consoles that charge this money. All these publishers that obviously, like, have servers online, they have all their games on PC where it's free online. So obviously they're not relying on an income on PC. So why do we need to have to pay for fucking consoles? You know, it's stupid. It's just free money for these console manufacturers. That's basically what it is. All these console companies getting fucking freebies off of us just simply because they can. Because they're complacent assholes. And yeah, DLC was kind of another thing, and then it led to microtransactions, loot boxes, and all that bullshit. And it's just like, really? Come on. Like, why? But that's just the beginning, you know. You've also got like the toxic internet culture of just people being absolute assholes online, and just people just being elitist bellends, and people just saying, well, you know, instead of like actually having a discussion and just having a laugh, it's just like, oh, well, you know, you're actually wrong about this. Like, you didn't read the Chronicles, so you don't know anything about Warcraft lore, idiot. It's like, I know everything. I know enough about Warcraft lore, thank you very much. I'm criticizing the Warcraft lore for making a retcon that should not have been retconned. Like, I'm criticizing a retcon that should not have existed in the first place, that existed long before the fucking Chronicles existed, and I'm criticising why it was a bad idea. It's just like, but the Chronicles says this, so you're wrong. And I'm just like, it's not about me being wrong, it's about me having an opinion, you know? I don't give a shit what the Chronicle says. It's all fucking WoW lore, and it's all bullshit because they rewrote the fucking lore where instead of the Dreadlords corrupting Sargeras, the Void Lords corrupted Sargeras, and all this bullshit. I'm like, I don't care. Who are the Void Lords anyway? They don't even show up in the game. They're just kind of just, like, behind-the-scenes villains that do nothing but say, ah, yes, I am the ultimate evil being that doesn't do anything, but I'm there, I exist, and I'm like the most powerful entity in the universe because apparently they need to add the power levels even more like Dragon Ball so that we have someone that's stronger than the Legion. You know, it's just like, come on, why do we need this? Why do we need this power creep in our game lore? Like, I mean, we know why. It's because fucking WoW's an MMORPG and they want to keep it going to keep people subscribing, you know? So they make a fucking force that is more powerful than the Legion and they kill the Legion off because they're bellends. I mean, and guess what? MMOs, they're online, and that was my first exposure to it, by the way, with RuneScape, you know? So yeah, another connection to the internet, you know? Another reason why the internet sucks, because it keeps games alive when they should have died years ago. I'm looking at you, fucking World of Warcraft, you know? The one game that really should have died at launch, because it does not need to exist and should never have existed in the first place because it's a shit game. But the thing about it is that, you know, all of that aside, there are countless fucking games that just simply exist nowadays, just simply so that game corporations can make as much money as possible with as little effort as possible. And you have this all the time now, and it's just like, you know, let's look at like WWE 2K25. What have they actually changed and improved? in the actual core experience of the game. Not much. Like, it's basically, they added a few little bits and bobs, like, in universe mode, now you can put pay-per-views anywhere you want. Oh, wow! Like, you can put pay-per-views on a Monday. Wonderful! Like, that's such a major addition. Oh, yeah, we also brought back promos that we removed in the previous game just to incentivize you to go back to playing this game so you can get the full feature list, because we remove games to artificially make you excited when a feature comes back. You know, it's just like, really? And it's just like, and they do this all the time, it's so fucking annoying. And it's just like, oh, and we added this new feature called Island Mode, and it's like you basically like play, it's an online only feature that only consoles can play, because PC gamers are fucking Hitler, and they all pirate our games, and we don't like them because they pirate our games, so we're not gonna, and they also mod our games as well, we don't like that, so we're not gonna allow PC, as punishment for that, we're not gonna allow PC gamers to experience our amazing new mode that, well, we think is amazing, but actually isn't, because it's an online-only mode that's built around fucking microtransactions. But the real reason why we don't want PC gamers to play it, besides the fact that they're bloody Hitler in our eyes, is the fact that we want to manipulate people, and PC players are not easily manipulated because they play on the system that they play on for a reason. It's simply to like escape from console's bullshit, whereas console gamers are stupid idiots who will fall for the bullshit and will pay for the microtransactions because they have no brain. So we don't want to give it to PC gamers because we know that they will bitch and moan about it. We don't want them to bitch and moan at us, so instead we're not going to give them the feature, so they'll bitch and moan anyways, but we don't care. You know? That's basically what they've done in 2K25, and you're just like, what the fuck? What the fuck, 2K? Like, seriously. And it's just like, you know, and that's just one example of a modern game. That's just one example that's recent. And then you get online-only games like The Crew, which don't exist anymore, and you can't even play it anymore, because they shut the servers down, and now you can't even play the game. It's just like, really? Like, and there's other online-only games like fucking Need for Speed, like 2015, and it's just like, you know, oh yeah, you have to be online to play the game. Yeah, which is great and all until the servers shut down, and then you can't play the game at all, and it's just like, oh, just buy the next game. It's like, that's not the point. I spent hours customizing my Dodge Viper, and now you've taken it away. I can't even access it, and my creation that I spent hours tirelessly working on is gone because you shut the servers down, and I can no longer access the game that I want to play, and no longer access the work that I spent on making this vehicle. The same goes for MMORPGs. It's just like, oh yeah, they can shut the servers down at any moment, and you lose all of the fucking investment you spent into investing in your character to level them up to like max level and get them the best gear in the game, you know? And you've lost all of that, you know? It's like, for some people, a character in an MMORPG is meaningful to them. Sometimes, like, they roleplay in these games as these characters, and they have a lot of history with them. And for them to lose that is a huge deal, and it really sucks. So, you know, online, it's not always good, and I hate online only the most. It's terrible, it's dreadful, and we need to see less of it. Seriously. Like, but this wasn't a thing before online gaming. And then you have another thing that's a problem with online gaming, and that is DRM. Oh yeah, and the thing is, yes, I am aware that DRM has existed before the internet, like Safe Disc DRM, which prevents you from playing games like Need for Speed Carbon anymore on PC because of the Safe Disc DRM, but it was PC only issue, because consoles didn't really seem to have that issue. It was something that was only an issue on PC, and I get why, because you can install games on PC and just kind of share them with your friends, and they can install it, and then they can give you the game back. I get it, but the thing about it is that, you know, DRM has gone out of hand since online has happened, because now you need an internet connection to verify the fact that you own the game, and if you don't, then you won't be able to play the game because of always online DRM. It's just like, what the fuck? So if I lose internet, I won't be able to access a game if it has de novo DRM, because I can't access the internet to verify that I own the fucking game that I paid money for. It's bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit, and this is because of the internet, you know? I might as well be doing my fucking modern gaming rant video again, because so many problems with modern gaming are to do with the internet. And that's the silly thing, it's just like, the internet has ruined gaming. It has. That's the answer to the fucking video, people. It has ruined gaming. There's no two ways about it. The internet is the reason why gaming sucks today. Because, and that's another reason why. Because now you have everybody talking about video games and Discord, like online discourse is so rampant, and everyone's talking about it. game developers are actually listening to the fans more than ever. They're listening to fan feedback, which isn't always the best thing to do, and it's kind of making games that pander to the fans, which isn't necessarily a good thing because the fans don't really know what they want, and fans tend to be really dumb. And that's a huge problem. And, you never want to pander to fans. Sometimes it is worth listening to fans, but you've got to be a good judge at that, of like when you listen to the fans and what you listen to the fans about. If there's serious bugs, then yes, you listen to the fans and you fix them. But if it's something like, oh yeah, I want this feature in the game, oh yeah, like this game needs this game is imbalanced because the character I pick in this fighting game is underpowered, I need you to buff him to make him the most overpowered character ever, then you don't listen to them because, well, there's nuance to it, obviously, but it's just like, obviously, you've got to know when to listen and when not to listen, And that's kind of the gist of it, So there's so many things that people have really, there's so many problems with modern gaming. There really is so many issues with it. And it all has to do with the internet. The internet has ruined video games so much. And it's like, the internet has really been a bad thing for video games, I miss the days where it was just playing by myself and experiencing these worlds. And I think that's another problem with the internet. Spoilers. Now you can just basically, there's spoilers everywhere, and it's just like, everyone's talking about these games that, you haven't beaten yet, and it's just like, you can find spoilers all the time. It's just like, you don't have that experience anymore, where it's just like, oh yeah, I'm getting a unique experience, first time experience, and, not knowing what's happening, and now everybody's talking about it. And, another thing is, when you talk to people, it's just like, you feel like, it's even more isolating because you don't feel like, you just feel like you're just another person, going through an experience. The experience doesn't feel as special because everybody's done it, And it's just like, originally it was just something that you'd only done, and it felt special for that. Now the internet's a thing, everybody's experienced it, Everybody's experienced Final Fantasy VII, So it's just like, everybody knows about it. That experience is just, the same experience other people had. I mean, obviously, with video games, it's a little bit different, because with video games, you get to somewhat make your own experience through, play, and, your gameplay ultimately impacts, the experience and, creates your own memories and stuff, which is one of the reasons why I like video games so much. But even then, especially for, anime especially, it's just so hard to avoid it, and wrestling, it's so hard to avoid it. And video games, you can't avoid it either, but obviously, with gameplay, you can still obviously have your experiences from that at the very least. But even then, it's like, it's just not as special anymore playing video games. I think I miss the innocence of it, the innocence of just jumping into a game and diving into hours of gaming and just kind of I don't know, role playing to myself, creating my own worlds out of nothing, and that imagination I had as a kid. I miss all that, that's one of the reasons why I like to play Universe Mode, just simply to kind of have some random fucking crossover shit. It's just simply because it's just fun to me. I like that, and anything that allows me to create shit in video games, oh shit, that's not good. Yeah, that's kind of what I want, and it's whoa, what the fuck? Just bounced off of that. This is bad, I'm gonna lose now. Great. So, yeah, it's just not the same, Gaming is not the same anymore now that the internet is no longer, it is now a major thing, and it's just I miss the days before the internet. I hate to say it, but I do. Yeah, we've lost this race, man. We have lost this race. Well and truly because of that fucking fuck up early on, and yeah. But it's just it's just not the same. Gaming just isn't the same, guys. And I know I'm a bit late because it wasn't the same years ago, but we're in 2020 now, and there are kids who have never experienced, they've never experienced gaming the way we did, and in a way they've never experienced that innocence that we experienced, and it's I don't really think they're even bothered, I don't even think they care, to experience that, but it was so different, and it's something that was unique and something that was special, and you don't have that anymore, you know? And it's so sad, but I think the internet has killed a lot of that. Oh, it has, and it's like, it's such a shame, you know? It really is. So, you know, I mean, I know that you could just say, oh, just don't use the internet then, but it's so important because games require guides. Like, if you don't use the internet, you'll get stuck on a game and you're just like, I need a guide. I need to go online, you know? And obviously, you know, some people, obviously, I mean, including myself as well, like, not everybody has the ability to play with people. I mean, especially when you get to an adult where everybody's so busy, like, trying to find someone to play split screen is just so fucking difficult because everybody has lives, you know? And they don't have the time to meet up with each other, so, yeah, those days are kind of long gone, you know? And some people just kind of live in remote areas and don't really have access to people to play with at all, even as kids. And it's just like, you know, so yeah, there's that, you know, so there is some advantage there to online, but even then, do we really want it if it's this bad? Are we really that desperate that we're going to play with all of these fucking obnoxious tryhards just to get some social interaction with our gaming experience? Like, are we really that desperate, you know? Or is it just better to just stay solo and just play single player games, you know? But then you remember once again the guide problem. It's just like, oh yeah, I forgot. And yeah, that's the huge issue with like gaming without the internet. It's just like, well, I need it because I need the guides, because there's so many games that have to add all this cryptic bullshit just to fucking progress. And it's just like, you know, like, I mean, even a lot of RPGs have that. And it's just like, you know, maybe sometimes it's because the game developers haven't really communicated well, you know? Or sometimes something goes wrong with a game and is buggy as fuck, and because of that, you need to basically go online to basically ask, how do I fix this bug? And if you're a PC gamer, you need to go online to buy video games anyways, because everything's digital now. So, yeah, you can't just, like, you just don't have a choice anymore. Like, you have to basically use the internet to do mostly anything in a video game now. I mean, it's nice that you, like, when you do have the option to play offline, but the thing is, you need to be online for most things nowadays. And online means servers for everything. That means everything's temporary. And that's not good. I don't want temporary, I want permanent. These are memories. I don't want to lose those memories. My save data is precious to me. You know? Don't take that away from me. It's important. You know? Save data is important to me because it's memories. I look back at some of my old saves today and it feels so good. And I get that nostalgic feeling whenever I look back on them. It's just like, I remember those days. Those days were great. You know? And it's just like, it's so cool that this thing that I experienced back in the day, I can finally, like, look back on it and kind of like have those feels of like seeing it and feeling nostalgia for it. That, and I also get to keep my own creations, even though some of those creations are just kind of like cringe in retrospect. You know, like, they're still important and they still make me laugh at the very least because I was such a stupid kid and I made dumb things, you know? You know, like some of the parks that I created in fucking Tony Hawk, you know what I mean? It's just like, I still got those saves of those old parks, and it's just like, some of them were dumb. Some of them were really dumb. Like, I literally made a park which was literally, you spawn and you die in lava repeatedly. It's just like, you just spawn in a volcano and just die in lava constantly. And it's just like, you know, it was so stupid, but that was the funny part of it. It's just like dumb shit like that. It's just like, you know, sometimes, like, you just want to have some dumb fun. And sometimes you want to have nostalgia, you know? And that's the thing, I think the internet's kind of killed a lot of the fun factor. Like, it's just not dumb fun anymore, it's serious business. And even in internet culture that has to do with, like, single-player games, even just being around people on the internet, there's a lot of pressure now. Like, you want to keep up with everybody. Like, everyone's playing all of these games, and it's like, you don't have time for that, you know? It's like, oh yeah, like, I mean, even in, like, with obscure games, there's, like, everyone's, like, chasing the obscure games, you know, these obscure, like, old games on, like, PS2 and all this, and it's just like, you're chasing them, and it's like, oh yeah, like, I'm playing all these old games, like, that you've never played, aren't I cool? And it's just like, no, you're not cool, you know? It's just like, you get that, and it's just like, you just want to kind of experience it yourself, but you don't have the time, because you have other games and all of that lot, and it's just like, it's a constant race. Everything's a race to, like, make the most out of your time so that you can seem like the cool kid who knows everything, you know? And it's just like, like, sometimes I just want to go back to a game I love and just re-experience it and just have that joy. Instead of just constantly trying to try new things and just, like, just simply so I get more experiences under my belt, you know? And that's one of the problems that I have, I guess. It's just like, you know, it's something that, it's part of the reason why I'm doing videos like this, just to randomly play a game of Hot Wheels Unleashed, just simply because I feel like it, just to go back to a game that would have been a waste of time, but I'm making a video so it's fine, you know? It's just like, when I've got such a huge backlog and I want to tackle it and I want to get through it, you know? But it's just like, I'm not doing that because I'm making this fucking video. And it's all because of the internet, you know? Back in the day, I'd just play what I wanted because I felt like it, you know? But I suppose part of it has to do with being older now, and like I don't have as much time as I used to because now I'm an adult, and at the same time it's just like, you know, mortality and all that. I've already addressed this in another video. Like, you can go watch it. It's basically the video where I talk about like gaming as a kid is different as an adult, and like it is like, but yeah, like I just miss the simpler times, man. I just miss when it was just like. And I think we all do, like, all of us millennials do to some degree, we miss it. And it's just like, gaming was better back then, it was. And I think part of it was the innocence, you know? Nowadays, everything just feels so samey, and it's just like, everything, like, I get it, it is so difficult now to be, like, you can't just copy off previous games, but they do because they can't think of any new ideas, which is understandable. It's very hard to come up with new ideas, especially ones that get over with, like, the audience and that lot. And indie developers are trying to do that, but they don't have the budget and the money and all of that lot. And it's just like, you know, everything's changed with gaming, and it's just not as fun. It's just annoying. It's just like, there's no going back, guys. We lived the glory era. We lived the glory days in the 2000s. Now we're basically living the era of just everything is trying to live up to the 2000s, and that's the thing. That is the era. It's not like 2010s where it was just like, oh yeah, we're going to basically like do all this Hollywood bullshit, you know? Nowadays, it's all about trying to live up to what the 2000s was. That's why you're seeing all these remakes and reboots and all of this, because it's cashing in on nostalgia, because they can't make anything new that people care about, because people are still stuck in the past, because modern stuff is crap. Everybody's aware of that. They go to the past all the time, and then gaming companies are like, well, we need to capitalize on this, so we're going to make reboots and remakes of all these old franchises that people didn't give a shit about back in the day because they didn't have enough money to afford all of these games, and they didn't have, like, if they were adults, they didn't have enough time to play all these niche games that were overlooked. Now everybody loves them. Now everybody's going back to them. Let's remaster every single one of them, you know? And it's just a cash grab, because really it's the same game again, just with more upscaled graphics, and they'll charge a fortune for it when you can just buy the original game for dirt cheap on fucking eBay. And, you know, it's just like, I mean, sometimes you can't, but, you know, they'll never remaster or remake the games. Well, sometimes they do, but very rarely will they remake or remaster the games that are very expensive, of course. Because, like, they're going to remaster and remake games that released, like, 10 years ago. Like, they're going to remake fucking GTA 5. Of course they fucking are. You know, they're going to remake fucking, like, The Last of Us and all these games that released not so long ago. But games like Guy, no, we're not going to port Guy to PC, because fuck that. Like, who's going to play that? I'm going to play that! In fact, I might play some of that right now, so I'll see you guys.